Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are several issues around municipal funding that this government has failed to address. Now, this government rages against the feds for taking more of Albertans' money than it gives back in equalization payments, but yet it happily does exactly the same thing to Edmonton and Calgary. So, to the Premier, why do Edmonton and Calgary only get back pennies on the dollar for all the different taxes they pay? Calgary gets 8 cents back, Edmonton gets 6 cents back. Oh, that seems to have distressed her. I'm sorry.
The Honourable Minister of Municipal Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I'd be curious where the honourable member will be getting their information from. I have heard arguments presented by different members of AUMA that they don't get the same value for the dollar, but they're talking about specifically dollars that go to municipalities, Mr. Speaker. The same arguments have been made in rural Alberta. The argument we always make, Mr. Speaker, is that whether it's a municipal government or a provincial government or a federal government, we all serve the same clients, and all the dollars go back to every community to provide the services that Albertans need.
Honourable member.
With respect, that's the point that they're making, is they don't get that money back. So on to the next question. What is why is the principle of stable, predictable 3-year funding available only when applied to the MSI, the Municipal Sustainability Initiative, and not to the 22 other grants that come from the province to the municipalities?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, that's not the case at all. We have said from day one that we wanted to secure stable funding in municipalities. It applies to all of the grant programs that we run through so that municipalities know what they have, what they can count on. MSI is the major portion of that funding, Mr. Speaker, because it makes up almost $1 billion of the $2 billion that goes to municipalities, but the commitment is the same for all of those programs.
Honourable member.
Thanks. Well, let's stay on MSI then. How is the government going to implement its new commitment to increase MSI grants to $1.6 billion a year by 2014 when it still hasn't delivered on its 2-year-old promise to increase MSI funding to $1.4 billion a year, especially given all you managed to do last year was $896 million? How are you going to do this?
Honourable Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we've been very clear from the beginning that we plan on, for 10 years, the program was $11.3 billion sent to municipalities. It was going to increase every year. Because of a global economic downturn, it was difficult for the province to meet all of those obligations and targets. To get to the $11.3 billion by 2017, we would have to approach $1.6 billion. And as we go through year-over-year fiscal plans, we're going to continue to try and meet that obligation and that promise we made to municipalities 5 years ago.